So let's turn to our conversation today with the Reverend Jesse Jackson Sr. Today was a powerful day, and I didn't stay for the whole thing, but the reason why it was powerful to me is that in the midst of Ferguson and New York protests yesterday, the nation talking about them, we in that room were talking about something significant moving our agenda forward, our economic
You're
agenda.
talking about access to media, affordable media, whether it's broadband or digital, jobs and ownership, which will help us shape our own narrative. For example, in the case of Ferguson, when Michael Brown was killed, it really was the end of a long train of abuses that led to that moment where people just couldn't take it anymore. It is really at one level, it's Emmett Till and the jury setting the killer free. It's Meg Evans and the jury setting the killer free. In this era, it's Rodney King being beaten on camera, and the killers, the beaters were set free. It is Trayvon Martin and the killers set free. It's Diallo in New York and the killer set free. It is Ferguson with Michael Brown, the killer set free. It seemed to me the cumulative impact of those maltreatments has hit a boiling point. And now it's time to address the impact of terrorism upon black men. We're being more profiled, more arrested, 12 times more arrested than white men are, more arrests, more time for less crime, longer sentences, and now jails for profits. So it was a particular burden upon the Department of Justice to in fact crack down on those violations of race-driven acts of crime against black people.
So, Reverend Jackson, today was a momentous day in that what you convened on the 7th floor of this building were professionals, young students, professionals who had enough confidence in their own capacities and their aspirations to want to come and find out what not only you were talking about, but a panel of experts.
What was fascinating was to see people of all ages, because in many ways, whether you are 60 or 6, much of what we're talking about is so very new to the whole world. And for them to go from Twitter to Facebook to Instagram, the rest of the forms of media, it's a big deal. Yesterday we were in Silicon Forest, which is what it's called in the Great Northwest, at a Microsoft meeting. And the top 20 Silicon Valley companies have 189 board members, 36 white women on the boards, 3 African Americans and 1 Latino. We're over-indexed in consuming without any fair return on relationships. C-suites are even more devastating than that. 12 companies have no blacks at all at any level. And then there's the issue of employment. We are around 2% of the employment zone. Latinos are around 3%. And almost no money invested in our startups to build. So focusing here today on knowing on the need for capital, industry, and technology and startups. This is a very momentous conference.
Reverend Jackson, tell us about you as the founder of this organization, PUSH, and how Rainbow PUSH, we all know, really from the beginning meant diversity in many colors. Now, today, in the 21st century, you are talking Facebook, Twitter, social media, digital media, and have a, let's say, a appreciated fascination for the capital in that arena and how it influences capital. Can you talk about that?
There comes a time when every struggle has to reimagine itself. It's like you're writing a note with a pencil, and the more you write, the more blurred it becomes. You have to stop and sharpen the pencil. You may lose some good wood getting to the bad wood, but if you can write a clearer message, it's worth the trade-off. It's now time to write a clearer message. The growth industry is high-tech and biotech. Must become competent at that. That means becoming competent in engineering and science and technology, which is not beyond our capacity, but it must be our priority. There's nothing we cannot do. It's a matter of having the priorities. We should begin to get STEM and STEM as science, technology, engineering, and math, but also science, technology, art, and math in all of our schools. As these jobs open up and when they require apps and codes. We should be on top of that. It's science that we can master. And the best paying job, they also influence the direction of the world. And we should be in the thick of that struggle. We try to build a pipeline between HBCUs, black colleges, and Silicon Valley, where you go to a place like Howard, or Morgan State, or Hampton, or North Carolina A&T, as the case may be, and have these computer science graduates and engineering graduates intern, they go directly to Silicon Valley and rise in the industry. And now, of course, DC is one of those areas where you have a kind of Silicon DC. The greater DC, Maryland, Virginia area is stacked with Silicon Valley type industries, and so is New York, and Austin, Texas, Chicago, and California. We can master these sciences if they become our priorities.
So, as you know, we have a history, going back to our history, of being mathematicians and engineers and pyramids, okay? And do we use that approach of discussion with our young people in our classrooms to bridge the reality and build confidence in our ability to truly be the STEM professionals that we have a generational background from?
Well, without giving prepositions a fit, you become good at what you work at. We work at this, we master it. You know, why are we the best football and basketball players on earth? We work at it. We practice 4 to 5 hours a day with dedication. We strain our minds, our bodies. We play under pressure. We play in all kinds of inclement weather because we want to. We will to play. Mm-hmm. We must will to science, will to technology, will to mathematics, and will to engineering. And we can do that. Right now, black colleges are producing more engineers than all the other universities in America put together. So we're already doing it. We just need to do more of it.
So you've opened up an avenue by the way of a rainbow push that has a legacy of movements and protests and marches and making a difference in public policy. What would be the final thing that you would like the public to know about your new brand and how you are, through that new brand, encouraging others to take on, whether it's government, education?
Need is the basis of organization. Service is power and self-interest is a sustaining force. We must address where the needs are. The needs are more people in science, technology, engineering and math, and art, for example. It's where the growth of the American world is. It's also the fourth stage of our struggle. The first stage was to end legal slavery. We won that battle after 246 years, 246. Next was to end legal Jim Crow. We won that battle after another 58 years. Then the right to vote. We won that battle. We were going from the bloody bridge in Selma to the White House within 50 years. But now you can have all of that, but you have to have access to capital, industry, technology, deal flow, and relationships. That's the stage we're in today. We're going to have some episodes like Ferguson, like the Garner case in New York. We must address those issues with a vigorous Department of Justice protecting us from domestic terrorism, because those acts of shooting blacks in the back and juries freeing them as acts of terrorism. We must focus on that wing, but also focus on the wing of moving ahead in the high-tech and biotech industries.
Would you say that President Obama clearly, from the first day of office when he stepped in and said he wanted to open up government so he can create opportunities of information sharing so that collaborations could be created so those who aren't participating in government benefits can now do so?
Well, that must happen. You know, for example, the big issue in Ferguson is not just better police with cameras on their back, it's that enforce civil rights laws, those police and fire departments and contractors who do not have a reasonable share of blacks employed in those areas and are promoted lose federal funds. That is enforcing civil rights law. If we do that, we'll have a different culture in these agencies. We'll have more jobs, we'll have more contracts, and more economic growth.
Listen, Mervyn Jackson, I want to say that you couldn't have said it better, because I've said that before, and actually there's a movement, but now that you said it, it could become a reality. Thank you so much for joining here at OGTV, discussing DC with OGTV. This is Keith Moore and the Reverend Jesse Jackson, Sr., who is legendary, we know, but today he's been an activist on the new STEM movement in America, black and brown. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.